Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. My name is Alan Smason, and I'm your host tonight. We've been doing this now for about a year and a half, almost. We've been, trying to get everybody in the theater community to gather and talk about what's going on in theater while most of the theaters were shuttered. And of course, it wasn't exactly a good year for a lot of people out there in theater because so many people were kept away. So many people were missing their enjoyment in terms of entertainment. And of course, the coffers were bare for all of the people who were theaters who had planned to put on seasons, etc. I'm telling everybody what they already know. It's not a problem. But again, what's unusual is that through this whole problem that we've had, this continual shutdown and the inability for us to come together as lovers of theater, we actually have had a creation of a new theater company, and that's kind of exciting. So those of you who don't know, we're going to be talking tonight about the Open Call Theater Company. You can see their lovely logo up now emblazoned above me. And again, Open Call Theater Company is the brainchild of our guest tonight, who we've had on the program previously to talk a little bit about what she's doing, but we've got her back because she's going to be doing something very interesting on Sunday, a fundraiser. We're going to hear at length about that and what's going to be entailed for you to participate in that. So without any further ado, please welcome, if you would, very warmly, Carol Eshleman. Hello, Carol. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
So again, you have taken the bull by the perennial horns, and you said, pandemic, schmandemic. We're going to start a new theater company.
Well, that's kind of why I did it, is because, I don't sit still very well.
In Yiddish we'd say spilkies. You've got spilkies.
Yes.
So you got like ants crawling all over you. You can't sit still. And then the conventional world, other people would call that ADD. So
yeah.
yeah. So, and I'm not making fun of people who have ADD. My son has had a problem in the past, and I respect everybody who has it. But again, people who are, and I guess I'm just like that too. I mean, I've never gone through a test, but people tell me I should because I would pass or fail, depending on which way you look at it, with flying colors.
I have a problem with like hyper focus, where if I am focused on, like, I can only be focused on one thing at a time. That's kind of my thing. And the pandemic came around. I couldn't do shows. That was a nightmare. And anybody who knows me can tell you that one of the things that I love doing more than anything else is making rehearsal schedules. I know that sounds bizarre, but I love making rehearsal schedules. And so there was nothing I could schedule. So I started coming up with the seasons. It's like, okay, well, if I were to open a new theater company and I was doing a season of shows, what would the theme be? What would the shows be? What would the schedule look like? And I just kind of started all putting it together. And it's kind of something that I've always wanted to do, is and it was something, I had started at Rummel kind of developing and expanding the program and stuff like that. But, eventually I got to the place where it's like, okay, well, there's only so much that I can expand here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so much that I can do. And so I started kind of coming up with, okay, well, if I were to run my own program, if I were to start a whole like educational system with this, what would it look like? And because I had nothing better to do, I started kind of putting all of this together, and then it just kind of came up like I should just do this. So and there were people who were like, you should really have your own company and stuff like that. And
Right.
one thing, it's like, well, maybe that's something that should happen. So I did, and that's the thing.
And again, I know that we should go back a little bit in your history before we go too far into what's going to be going on in the future. But we should go back a little bit when did you first get involved with theater in this city? When was it that you first exposed?
Okay, so I started doing theater when I was 7. I when I was living out in the River Parish, and very much very much from the get-go, like not fitting in and stuff. That it just, I was into different stuff. I was very much into reading and all that kind of things. And so my mom signed me up to do shows at St. John Theater over the summer, and I loved it. My
And,
brother
yeah. Now this is St. John's Theater. Where is that?
in Reserve.
Reserve. Okay, gotcha.
And that was the first place I'd ever done theater. So I was just, a little kid in the ensemble and stuff, doing stuff out there. And then when I started high school and I came to Dominican, I started doing theater there and just really fell in love with it. And so I got Miss Abity to thank for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started, and then my junior year, I started at NOCA. And
Okay.
started getting involved with JPass and everything my senior year.
So
And
this is again a few years back. I'm not going to say how old you are because I'm going to try to respect that. But yeah, high school, and then
yeah.
you were also very involved because our paths have crossed in Mardi Gras. So you were very involved, and that's a form of theater as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the production values and stuff in that, and the costumes and everything.
Yep.
So yeah, my family's been in the crew of Carrollton since I was little bitty, and then I was queen in 2001, and I was a maid in 98. Yeah, I was a maid in 99. Yeah, returned as a maid in 2000, and then was queen in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I went to Loyola for my undergrad. And
But it's interesting because your family came from a background in photography. You never gravitated towards that, did you? Or did you dabble in it?
I did actually work for the studio a little while doing retouching and graphic art stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did that. But yeah, my dad's a photographer. My mom is an art teacher. She's been teaching visual art for middle school since for well over 20 years and stuff now. And so I come from very I think is what it all stems from. They're both my parents are both very much like visual artists. They're very visual people, but I've always been kind of more like in my head. You know what I mean? Like I got into reading and literature and stuff, and that's kind of where my brain took me. And then and I would write when I was younger, more than anything. So writing kind of took me into, creating other worlds and stuff like that. And then I got to NOCA, and I was accepted to NOCA for writing and for theater.
Oh.
But I had to pick because they wouldn't let you
both.
Couldn't
Right. I understand.
Yeah, so I couldn't do things. And it was actually Dr. Henry Hoffman who, like, when he was like, okay, well, you have to choose writing or theater. And he looked at me and he said, in writing you live here, and in theater you live out here. And I was like, okay, well, I want to live out here. So
Right. And again, we're talking about the Open Call Theater Company. People who want to leave a comment or a question, feel free to use StreamYard.com/Facebook. That allows us to see your name. In some cases, we may not want to see your name, but that's all right. In any event, we're talking about Open Call Theater Company, and part of what they're going to be doing is you're going to be having a fundraiser. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but this is a very exciting time. So you as a student gravitated towards theater, and then of course as an adult, you had kids, etc., and you started to get them involved a little bit in theater as well, right?
Oh, yeah. So right out of college, my ex and I had True Brew Theater in the warehouse district, and then got pregnant for my son, and kind of stepped back a bit, and because of Katrina kind of forced me into it.
Right.
But then in 2007, I directed the last show that ever happened at Archbishop Blank. Right before Blank and Maculata merged. And so I ended up, and then after that, I would do, kids workshops here and there. And then did my master's, and then got hired over at Rummel, and was over at Rummel until now. I'm starting my own thing.
Right.
But my does perform, yeah.
Yeah. So again, you've been around, you've been exposed as a parent, and also as a youngster yourself. You've been exposed to theater, and people know you. They know you from True Brew, and people still talk about what a lovely place True Brew was. It was a terrible ending to it. Of course, anybody who knows, Katrina kind of spelled the end of it. Just a terrible situation, unfortunately, for everybody who's involved. But they did have quite a devoted following, and I remember seeing so many wonderful shows that were there. And it seems to me Ricky Graham may have been involved in some of the things, and Sean Patterson, and just some of the wonderful performers that we know of, we take for granted today, got a lot of the early show starts there. Yeah. So
it was great space, and I would do a lot of the technical work and stuff. I would do a lot of the backstage stuff and everything there, and that's where I really kind of fell in love with theater from the other from the backstage side.
Right. So again, not too long ago, you were working. You mentioned it. Part of the I guess you might say the job description you had with the Genesian Society was over at Rummel. You were there for how long?
I was there for 6 years.
Wow. And again, nurturing a lot of young students, etc., and helping find them a place in some of the outside productions as well. I'd see you at a lot of different productions with different people. This is my student, you would say, etc. So now you decided to open up your own company, and you're doing so as a result of your exposure, to working with the kids, etc. And now you're going to be doing this on a regular basis, and this is for kids in 6th grade till 12th, right? Is that basically what you're doing?
Yeah, and 6th through 12th grade, and not just for kids who want to perform, but also for kids who are in the side. Like, that's one of the things that's going to be big with my company, is that we want kids to explore technical theater, and we also have a musician track, so kids that are interested in music can play in our orchestras and stuff. I am and this was something that I was building and everything at Rummel, was having kids involved with every aspect of theater, from the design aspect to the performance aspect, to the musician aspect, and also and every now and then I would have the students direct and stuff too. So I love seeing productions that are completely student driven, because it's such a good start for so many kids. I have kids, I've had students who have had just as many technical theater scholarships as they've had performance scholarships, and I think that's and a kid who plays in the orchestra, who is on a music scholarship. So there's so many different parts to theater that people don't necessarily think about, and so I want to be able to highlight those and everything as well.
So again, Open Call Theater Company was easier than you thought to open up, or more difficult in terms of what was involved legally to get a company started like this?
No, it's been a lot. It's been a lot of work. a lot of the nitpicky paperwork and, we are a 501c3. So getting started and everything as a nonprofit is a lot of, I have had a lot of amazing people helping me. Becky Carbo, helped me from the get-go with all the legal stuff and everything. And then my board is full of incredible people. Liz Parent is the president of my board of directors. I've got Debbie Gonzalez, who's formerly general manager of the Sanger. She's my vice president. I've got Christian Batista, who has his master's in education from Harvard.
Okay.
Yeah, formally.
That's the Tulane of the North, right?
Yeah, right. That's a good way of putting it. He will love that. So he's on there. Miss Joni Johnson, who is a big theater fan and stuff, and helped me a lot over at Rummel. She's on there too, and Georgia Gresham, former chair of Loyola, is on my board as well. And then my partner in all of this is John Giardina, who has been a huge help and everything with for me. He's done a lot of film work and everything and stuff in town. So without all of
this, and to be transparent, more than just a supporter.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm now going to what I'm drinking tonight. Can you guess what it is?
I don't know. Is that a grasshopper?
No. Look, it's not green.
Is that a margarita?
It is not. It is not a margarita. It is actually orange, and it utilizes orange juice and vodka. So what would you call that?
Screwdriver.
Wrong.
No.
Galliano floated on top.
Oh.
Harvey Wallbanger.
Harvey Wallbanger. Look at you.
And to make it the right way, you got to float enough Galliano on top so you can really taste a little bit of the Galliano, because it's sort of a very.
My favorite drink I can't ever do at home, or I haven't tried to do it at home. But I love a Pim's Cup. Me.
Oh yeah,
that's
I love
my.
I have some Pim's Cup here too. I haven't made some for the summertime. It's always a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And by the way, those of you who love Pim's Cups, there are very few places that make them as well. It's the Napoleon House, of course, very famous. I happen to like the one over at Revel. And of course, Revel's been closed. For those of you who know, Revel's been closed. Chris McMillan and Laura McMillan have been closed since the pandemic set in. And they were pretty, determined that they weren't going to reopen until they could get the bar open fully and people be able to come in and without the mask, etc. They just didn't think it was a good idea. So they're going to be opening as of right now the weekend of July the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, or something like that. So whenever that is, I'm not quite sure with the 24th or whatever when that is, but that weekend. So it's not going to be this coming weekend, and it's not going to be the next weekend, but the weekend after that. So what about 3 weekends coming up? Yep. Hopefully they'll get it together. Is that right?
Yeah. Who has really good Pim's Cups? Mandina's.
Well, I haven't been there to get a Pim's Cup.
I know.
Bit
of Pim's Cup. I go there and I eat and I get a Pim's Cup, and they have really good Pim's Cups.
Yeah. So, and again, Napoleon House is very good too. It's different. And I happen to like the Pim's Cups that are made without the syrupy sweet ginger ale or 7-Up. I happen to like more just regular soda with the Pim's Cup. I think it brings out the flavor, and if you've got enough fruit in there, you don't really need the extra sweetness. But that's me. Anyway, I wanted to go into a couple of things, but here's one of your big fans. I got to go, but hugs from NOLA. So again, best that we can do tonight is to talk a little bit about your fundraiser. We're going to do that, but part of the fundraiser is going to be obviously at the Gretna Cultural Center, which was developed a few years ago, and we did have an opportunity earlier to talk with the Honorable Mayor Belinda Constant, and she was the one who really pushed through that whole project, got whatever funding was necessary to take what was essentially an abandoned post office since I believe, Hurricane Katrina, and then brought it back into a cultural center. And there were a number of plays that have been presented there. Most notably, a few years back, I remember seeing a production of The Women that was there. And I know Sandy Rhodes, that's Dane Rhodes and Sandy Bravender had done at least a couple of shows over there. And I think they may have even had some of the NOLA voice people who were doing some work there as well. So, you know, it's not like they it didn't utilize the space, but you were able to find the mayor open to the suggestion of you coming in there and having a performance space there, and also having a rehearsal space on the West Bank that would be not too far away, so that you could essentially have your rehearsals done without having to use up valuable time and space for them, and only be able to have to sort of use a little bit of perhaps a week or so before you moved in. That seems pretty much a nutshell of what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, my rehearsal space is actually the old Roma Guerra Photography West Bank studio.
Oh, well, you kept that in the family, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And, you know, I approached my dad about leasing the space.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah, totally.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk with the mayor, if you don't mind. My mouth is open because I'm waiting to do this. Normally we put these things on live, but we're gonna have this one done, and hopefully we'll allow the mayor to tell us all about this.
Yeah.
Again, good evening, everyone. My name again is Alan Smason, and for those of you who are just joining us, this is the NOLA Theater Talk Show. Again, we broadcast to the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, as well as my own YouTube channel. Tonight, our very special guest we're going to have join us is going to talk about a historic connection between the city of Gretna and Open Call Theater Company. We'd like to welcome to our program Mayor Belinda Constant from the city of Gretna. Your Honor, the mayor, we appreciate you being with us. Again, we are very pleased to be able to talk about the Gretna Cultural Center, which you were, I guess, pretty much the guiding force behind when it was redeveloped, correct?
Yes, that is true. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now this was originally a post office, wasn't it? Wasn't that what the original intent of that building was?
Yes, it was a building built in the 1930s. It was actually the main post office building here on the West Bank.
And again, I remember it as a kid growing up, because I used to have a person who would take care of my sister and I, and we would end up in Gretna a number of times, going over to visit in that area. That was one of the spots where she used to catch a bus, et cetera. So she used to take us around, et cetera. And it was always an idyllic place. But a few years ago, and I don't remember the exact year, after I guess a lot of fundraising and deciding to get people who were letting contracts, et cetera, you had bids put out, I assume, and they were able to transform the old post office, which was, I guess, not being utilized at that point, correct?
Right. It did not open up after Katrina.
Gotcha. And so then you were able to transform it into the Gretna Cultural Center. And I know that in the past, several other companies have utilized this space. I know Sandy Rhodes had used it for one or two productions, and I know that several other people have been using it. Would you say that this I guess you might say partnership between Open Call Theater Company and the city of Gretna is going to have some good points to it, that you'll be able to see the space utilized more?
Yes, that's the beauty of this black box theater that is owned by the city. There is not one company that calls the theater home, and we're able to enter into partnerships with several production companies. And we've done that in the past, and we're excited about yet another company looking at this cultural center as a place to call home for productions. And so we're excited about Open Call Theater Company, and excited about the possibilities for them. And we're real excited that they're bringing their business also to the city. at, their theater school, if you will, or their training facility over here in Gretna, and then they'll be doing the productions here at the Cultural Center. So it's a win-win for them and for us.
And their rehearsal space is going to be not far away, so they won't be taking up, unnecessary time using your space, so that you can rent it to others if they need to. But
yes, and that's the beauty of the relationship, because even with other companies, there's limited time when we can dedicate it to a production, right? Because this is a theater that is open to the public, and we have weddings there, and we have private birthday parties there, and we want our people on the West Bank and for sure in the city of Gretna to be able to utilize this as an opportunity for private events as well. So that's the great thing about open call theater. They have a place for training and a place for theater practice, and then they move into the theater just the week of the production.
So, and that's going to work out to where they have that week for their rehearsals, so that they can conform to the right, blocking, et cetera, that they're going to need to do. And if they happen to have a musical group, perhaps a Sitzprobe, where they actually sit and work with the musicians for the first time and get the music down. And then it's, opening night, so you get to enjoy that. Now, do you know the year that you opened the Cultural Center? When was that?
Oh my goodness. I think it was sometime around 2014, I believe. The first productions, and I should remember opening night, and I do remember opening night. I can't put a date to it, but it's been incredible. All of the performances that has been inside the theater. We're not doing just theater. There's concerts. Hurricane Promotions is another production company. They do lots of concerts in there. We can seat up to right around 300 people, and it can be theater in several different formats. It can be concerts. So it really is. It has several opportunities.
And I know that in the past they had a partnership there. No, when Sandy Rhodes had done it, they actually had like a dinner theater. And then people were actually
theater, yes, Sandy, and yes, they've done dinner theater there.
Yeah.
And it like I said, it's being a black box, and being in theater, right? Black box means possibilities, and anybody that has a great imagination can pull off some incredible productions there. We had Nutcracker there for several Christmases. Kenny Beck and his wife Kim brought their production of Nutcracker here before they moved into the Jefferson Performing Arts Center. So we had Nutcracker here, I think, 2 or 3 years before they moved it to the production center, and we were excited about that.
And there's not a lot of wing space back there for a lot of. They do what they can with the production, but it's not like JPAC has a huge amount of space. So
it is limited, for sure.
And I know that Manuel Ponce did a marvelous job designing a set in that limited space for the women, which was a production that had about 40 people on stage.
It was production, yes.
Crazy.
I happen to be one of those people, believe it or not.
Yes.
I had a cameo spot in that production, but it was, so, when ingenious minds get together, great things happen.
Well, congratulations on this partnership. Again, I want to thank you, Mayor Belinda Constant, for being with us again and being able to join us. It's very important that these sorts of historic partnerships that are forged be notified, to the public, that people know what's going on, so that they can understand that you are pursuing and trying to bring in the arts, as a public official, and that you recognize how important the arts are to the public at large.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I love being a part of anything that has to do with cultural opportunities for our city and the West Bank as a whole.
Well, thank you again, and we'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
All right, there you go. If I can ever get myself back, there we are. That's wonderful. Comments there from the mayor, and she obviously echoes what you feel, that this is a very good partnership. So congratulations. And again, I want to thank the Honorable Mayor Belinda Constant for being a guest on the show. She was unable to join us live because she's busy being mayor. She has a lot of different duties. But we appreciate her taking time out of her busy schedule to come in and join us and to talk about it. But let's talk first off. Tell me about this open call theater opening cabaret. Tell me a little bit about what the story is on it.
So, the cabaret, we decided to put on the cabaret because we really want to introduce the company to the area, to the community, to anybody who wants to be a part of it. And so we wanted to introduce people to the space as well. So we put together this cabaret. So the cabaret is made up of performers who not only are some professional performers in the area that people will be familiar with, like Anäis St. She's one of our performers. And so we're and Mel as well, who's one of the Victory Bells. She was formerly a Victory Bell, so people are familiar with her. But I also have some of the performers are former students of mine who are coming in and performing. And one of the reasons why I wanted to bring them on and showcase them is so that people who are coming in, who are coming to the cabaret, are interested in open call, can see, this is the type of talent that we foster. These are people that I've worked with who are now successful performers working out in the industry and everything, not just here, but all over the country. So people can see like, oh, okay, this is what we do. This is what we're trying to develop. But it's also kind of an introduction to the community as well. We have a couple of restaurants around the area who donated who are donating some food for it.
And you know what? I just like to say before you go any further, restaurants probably took the biggest hit of any industry aside from theater. So for them to come to your rescue, as it were, and to offer you free food is really giving something, because they don't have the help right now like they should. They don't have a lot of funding that they might have had before, that they had a lot of extra, I hate to use the word fat, but, let's say they had a lot of extra money coming into their coffers because of customers. They don't have a whole lot of customers. And if they do have customers now, it's only because they were able to open up after the pandemic and get things started up again. So again, congratulations. You want to call out a couple of those names so that people, in case they want to go out?
Yes.
Who's that?
Gattuso's.
Okay, where is that? Are they in Gretna?
Right next to, like, that's one of the beautiful things about the Gretna Cultural Center is that down Gretna area has so many restaurants, like literally within walking distance of the theater. Gattuso's is right next to the theater on Huey P. Long and 5th, right there in downtown Gretna. Great little Gretna Depot, who is on Huey P. and 4th, which is right at the theater. They've given me some stuff as well. And also in Gretna, not right next to the theater, but in Gretna as well, is Cafe Hope, which is a great organization. They give and train people who may have, been suffering from poverty and stuff like that. They train them in their kitchen and stuff like that, so that they can get service industry jobs all over the place. And so they've donated some stuff to us as well. And we just,
So do you have a group of people who are going to be providing musical accompaniment, or are people going to be singing, to tracks, or what?
It's going to be live accompaniment. It's piano accompaniment. Our accompanist, Megan Kessel, is going to be playing. The Gretna Cultural Center has this gorgeous baby grand piano on site. So it's also a player piano as well. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous instrument. And so we get to show off the Gretna Cultural Center's own home instrument for the cabaret. So
that sounds great. So you mentioned a few of the people who are going to be there. You mentioned one of them in particular. The first one off the top of the list was Anäis St. And without really going into too much detail, Anäis is performing tonight at the Starlight Lounge, maybe, I believe. If she's not at the Starlight, she's at the I think she's at the Starlight tonight, and I think on Saturday she's now performing at the Bombay Club. So I
Yeah.
think those are the two places on Friday and Saturday she's performing. But without going into too much more, I wanted to be able to offer everybody an opportunity to see Anais in action. She had never been on the show before, and I was able to, to prevail upon her to also, as we did with the mayor, have a little talk with us. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me while I bring her into the room and invite her to talk with us. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to take a little break from where we were and actually introduce our very good friend and singer, chanteuse extraordinaire, Anäis St. Of course, Anais is no stranger to those of you who have been frequenting cabarets or perhaps frequenting porches as of late, because Anais has been out on her own porch making music along with Harry Marone Jr. For many, many months during this pandemic, and only now recently slowed down enough to do some other gigs. So, Anais, welcome once again to the program. We wanted to talk a little bit about what we've been talking about tonight, which is essentially the Open Call Theater Company, and we are talking a little bit about this cabaret that's being held essentially to raise money for their program for 6th through 12th graders who are interested in learning more about theater and essentially getting to perform in front of live audiences. They are going to be having I guess you call it a fundraiser more than anything else, a cabaret where people will be able to appear, and you are going to be one of the many performers that will be doing that. And they're going to have, I think, a cash bar, and they're going to essentially try to raise some money for Open Call. So again, I appreciate you being able to join us. I know that we're doing this just for the sake of transparency. We're doing this a little bit ahead of time. Why? Because you are actually right now performing, aren't you? Not. You're actually in real time at the Starlight Lounge, right?
I am on Friday night. This Friday, I will be at the Starlight Lounge with Harry Marone from 7 to 10. Very excited because this will be my first time back performing in person at the Starlight since before the pandemic. And have you ever been there, Alan?
I have not, but that doesn't mean I won't go eventually.
I'll tell you what, it used to be the home of the old Petunias in the French Quarter. It's at 817 St. Louis Street, and it's such a charming French Quarter. It feels like you're sitting in someone's French Quarter living room. Very intimate bar, and it's got the French Quarter feel. And there's also a wonderful restaurant located in the back, Venezuelan restaurant, which the food is amazing. I definitely recommend you coming and having a bite there and sitting and listening. It's very, very, it really feels like a cabaret room on a small scale, but very, very charming.
But the 800 block of St. Louis is not far from a very famous restaurant, is it not?
Isn't it Antoine's right across?
Right across the street.
I mean, you can go to Antoine's, you can go to Arnold's. I'm not telling you where they have your meal.
But I mean, it's in the very same block. If anybody wants to know where it is, very same block from where Antoine's is. So, the block right before Chris Owens's place. And again, I know where it is. I just don't frequent it as often as I guess I should, and guilty as charged. But Anais, you for many years had been a performer of your own. You were I don't want to say graduate, but you had been a student at the Yale Cabaret
conference
that they had. I mean, you were one of many people who used to hang out at Le Chat Noir, not only as a performer, but also at several occasions you had been a person who was handling the drinks.
I cocktailed there for sure. Initially started as a cocktail waitress and a few shifts bartending, but
even had a couple of stints on stage with the New Orleans Opera, right?
Well, that's right. I actually sang with the New Orleans Opera Chorus for over 5 years. So I've seen a few stages from the Mahalia Jackson to Le Chat Noir, even Le Petit. I've done some shows with them. So I'm definitely familiar with the stages in New Orleans.
And you mentioned Harry Marone earlier. Harry Marone is the one who's really been responsible for essentially getting your brand out there with him with the Porch Fest. And this is a little bit of a picture, but that's your actual house, your actual porch. and that's you with Harry. You can just barely see his back to the audience as far as that goes, but there he is playing the piano, and of course you keeping everybody entertained, not only in person but also virtually over the internet. And of course, people have been contributing to you via Venmo and other ways of tipping you, so to speak, right?
So, Alan, I got to tell you, that all started very early on during the pandemic in March. A friend brought to my attention that in Italy, they were doing, the people were singing to each other from their balconies. And she asked if we could do something like that in Algiers Point. And I called Harry and I said, would you be interested in doing a show on the porch? And he said yes. And he would take his bike across the ferry because he lives in the French Quarter.
Right.
Come to my house a couple of hours before showtime, and we would roll the piano out to the porch. And we started just doing different themes every week, from everything from Eartha Kitt to Donna Summer to Bill Withers to Elton John, the Rolling Stones. I mean, just stuff we wouldn't normally do on a regular jazz gig. And it's it would be a 1 hour show. We did it for over 60-something shows for an entire year. And we were able to conclude doing that when we both started getting bookings in in-person clubs in New Orleans. So we're very proud of it. We were also awarded a proclamation from the city of New Orleans for the work we have done with Porch Fest. So what an honor, and thank you to our city of New Orleans for acknowledging us for that.
And I know you read it on July the 4th. You had an impromptu surprise Porch Fest celebration to thank everybody for the past year, and that's when you read that proclamation. I actually caught a little bit of you reading the proclamation. I thought that was really cool.
Well, here's the thing, Alan. Like we just enjoyed Porch Fest so much. We don't want to completely give it up. However, instead of doing it as a weekly thing, we're going to do it as pop-ups, maybe once a month. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that. That
sounds like a winner. And again, for those of you, you mentioned a couple of your big shows, Donna Summer, Eartha Kitt. I mean, those were all, wonderful shows that you created, curated, as it were, and then gone ahead and produced.
And shows were very different from me too, because there were shows that were big bands, dancers. I mean, but also with elements of the cabaret, with the storytelling in between the songs.
And again, I shouldn't say you produced, because some of these were productions that were done by other people, but with you on hand, so to speak. So you may not have served as the producer, but in other words, it was your creative juices, right?
Well, for Eartha Kitt, for Donna Summer, for Tina Turner, absolutely, those were done. And then certainly my husband Marco St. John backed me up with funding and make sure I had everything I needed to be able to put on these shows.
Now, Donna Summer though was a little bit different, right?
No, Donna Summer.
I thought Jonathan had done something with you.
Yes. Jonathan Perez helped me and helped to produce it to get me the venues. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So again, give him a little bit of due too. So I wanted
absolutely. Actually, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan. It's been a while, and he also, if I talk about Jonathan, Lulu White, Queen of Storyville.
Yes.
Jonathan brought that show and helped to curate that to the Jefferson Performing Arts Society, which I'd never really done a show with. So shout out to Jonathan.
So again, it was a different kind of show. You did a story on a historical figure, but you didn't use historical music. You used contemporary music to tell the story, which was kind of an interesting take on it. It's sort of like, if anybody's familiar with Seth Rudetsky's Disaster, he used a lot of the music from the 80s, the disco stuff to essentially tell a story, and they stitched it all together so that a person would have a I guess you might say a moment to resonate with whatever the emotion was within that song. So it's very interesting. And again, will that show ever come back, you think? Is it something that
I feel like it's time to bring them all back, because people are asking, they're like, when are you bringing Donna Summer back? I only did Tina Turner once, so I'm like, I need to just go ahead and start looking into bringing them back to life.
Well, of course, anybody who goes to Broadway and still in the West End can catch a little bit of Tina Turner on stage now. So you were, I guess I might say, a little bit of a pioneer in channeling Tina.
Certainly,
yeah,
sure.
But we hopefully we'll be able to see you. Those of you going again, this is going to be coming up on the 11th. That's this Sunday night. and it starts, I think, at 6 o'clock at
Correct.
the Gretna Cultural Center. And again, this is the place that I think used to be formerly the post office there, wasn't it? At one
Yes.
point, and then they converted it over. And I know at one point there were several shows that were done there. The Women was done there. I think Sandy Rhodes Productions did a few shows there, and so it's been seen, but it hasn't been utilized in a lot of times, especially during the pandemic. Obviously, there were no shows, so hopefully the Open Call Theater Company will be able to usher in a new era of people being able to utilize the Gretna Cultural Center for theater. And
I can't wait to see it. Honestly, Alan, it'll be my first time performing there, and maybe that'll be a new venue for me. We'll see.
well, we'll see. And again, I want to thank you for being here tonight. We're going to go back and join Carol Eshleman again, who's been on the show already tonight, talking about the Open Call Theater Company. And again, thank you. Break a leg and have a wonderful time. And we'll be looking for you perhaps on a future time to come back on NOLA Theater Talk and tell us what else is going on, with future shows. Okay?
Thank you, Alan.
You're more than welcome. All right. There you go. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
So I appreciate again for our very good friend Anäis St. for her appearance tonight. And again, those of you just joining us on NOLA Theater Talk tonight, we are talking with Carol Eshleman about the company that she heads up, which is the Open Call Theater Company. And again, the intent of that company is to help train 6th through 12th graders in the theater roles that they might be assuming, and to teach them how to approach theater, how to become better players, and perhaps give them enough of a foundation to go to college and maybe excel in college, or perhaps be able to be part of the local theater scene. So you're perhaps in a sense like a feeder, bringing people in, and you did that when you were at Rummel. Now, are there any particular companies that have asked you to partner with them once you get the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th graders, etc., ready, or are you just gonna go where the opportunity exists?
I mean, not really anybody, any like one company in particular. There were a lot of people who, once I had developed the Genetians and stuff at Rummel, would send emails like, "Hey, we have auditions coming up. Hey, we need somebody backstage," and that's absolutely something that I want to continue doing, because growing the theater community of New Orleans is something that is super important to me. And I love when there's a student that I've been working with that then gets cast or works backstage for another production, and I can them and be like, "Hey, you're out there doing things," and that's a phenomenal feeling. I love watching that happen.
All right. Well, as I said, we're talking about this fundraiser, and the most important thing for people to do is to be able to support you, and that would be what, in buying tickets, perhaps buying tables. So I think it was a suggested $20 donation for a single ticket, and then it was how many tables are there? How many people are at each table? Is that 10 people or 8?
5 for the way it's set up is that we have you can either buy a table seat for $30 or a chair seat, because we have rows of chairs set up as well, for $25. We have 2 different types of tables set up. We have right in front of the stage for that real like cabaret cocktail feel. We have 6 top tables that are there right in front of the stage. Those are gone. Those are sold. But we also have the high top tables, which seat 4 people, that we have on the sides for, you got those people at the cabaret, you got the people right up in the action. Then you also got people who want to like chill in the back and kind of, take everything in. And so our high top tables, which we have 7 of those are still open. that people can sit at that are on the sides and in the back of the space.
And it starts at 6 o'clock. What time does the show start?
Starts at 6 o'clock. The show will get going pretty much like right after that. We also have some raffle items that we'll be raffling off. I've got some gift certificates. Julie Wynn made a Cruella de Vil inspired costume piece that we're going to be raffling off. And we're also going to be raffling off a tuition, a scholarship for Open Call in any any one of our tracks. So that'll be available to buy there as well. And
so that will be like for 1 year scholarship?
Yeah,
okay.
for a whole season. So that's a really good raffle. It's worth up to $2,000. So yeah, that's a really good deal. I'm also going to have, like, on the tables and stuff, we'll have our little Open Call Venmo QR code on there. So, performer comes up and they really, like, knock your socks off, send Open Call a little tip for the performers that, you really, really enjoyed.
Do you have tips for host of theater shows at all? Just wondering.
We'll get people to throw some dollars in there for you.
Anyway, no, I you know what, I'm not really interested in. It's like the Soupy Sales thing where he'd ask everybody, the little kids, to go back and find those president pictures, that's in your mother and father's wallets, etc., and send them to me because I need those pictures. Yeah, no, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in those right now. Again, we're talking with Carol Eshleman about the Open Call Theater Company and their big Open Call Cabaret for opening this weekend on Sunday. Starts at 6 o'clock, and again at the Gretna Cultural Center. Those of you who have been with us throughout the whole broadcast know that we had the Honorable Mayor Belinda Constant on, and earlier we talked with Anäis St, who's going to be one of the performers. And again, if anybody needs to know how to get tickets, tell me how to do that.
You can go on our website, www.opencalltheatercompany.com. The tickets are for sale right there on the website. You can also buy tickets through our Facebook page, which, just search Open Call Theater Company. You can get them through there as well. We're doing them through Eventbrite. So if you want to just go to Eventbrite and search through there and search for Open Call, we are on there as well.
And again, I don't know if it was you or me freezing, but somebody froze just now. So I heard you, though. It was great because we heard your audio. It was the video that was sort of frozen there. So hopefully everybody heard that. And again, we want to thank you for being with us tonight. We do a lot of these shows, and I can honestly tell you that we don't do a lot of promotions of fundraisers. I don't think we've ever done one, but in this particular climate of coming back from a pandemic, we need to be able to support everybody and let everybody know what's going on. And guess what? Theater is coming back to New Orleans. We have, for the very first time in Orleans Parish, and Jefferson Parish opened a little earlier than this, but for the very first time in Orleans Parish, coming up this next week, Jesus Christ Superstar Summer Lyric Theater at Tulane. They are going to have a full orchestra, and the house will be as full as it can be, given the situation as we've got. But it's going to be the very first time in New Orleans proper, not Jefferson or Kenner, but in New Orleans proper, where we actually have a show where there are people on stage and they're not all wearing masks. I mean, that was a very strange time for me, to go in and the clear mask in some cases, they had the face shields, etc. And they were doing the best job they could under the circumstances, and I understand that, but it was just a strange situation to be able to see people. It's bad enough sometimes to be able to distance yourself from the little mics that they have, when people are on stage, and you say, gee, that's distracting. Yeah. But to actually see a mask or a face mask, clear or not, and to see people performing as if, this is a normal situation, sort of expanded one's credulity. So, you had to say, okay, it's all about theaters, about the imagination and using your mind to, pretend you're somewhere else or that you are being transported in a way. And that's what we did during this period. And I think we did a good job, all in all.
Yeah, you do what
So-
you do. Safety is important and stuff, which is why every single staff member of Open Call is vaccinated. We are a 100% vaccinated staff. So, that's something that's super important. But, being able to, kind of come out of it and stuff is very exciting.
And I was really excited to see a couple of stories that came out of Actors Equity the last couple of weeks. First off, they announced that they were suspending the restrictions on the COVID masking and testing mandates that they had. So that no longer are members of Actors Equity required to be tested on a regular basis or to have masks when they're performing. So that's number one, very good. And then they came out with LORT and regional theater opportunities for theaters, regional, local theaters, to be able to partner with Actors Equity and have an engagement in contracts so that they can actually have equity actors perform on stage. There is no reason that a theater company does not have equity members given an opportunity to perform. I'm not saying you have to have everybody in your cast to be equity, but please allow those people who are in equity, who are our very finest performers, who have been probably doing this longer than anybody else, and who feel like they, are professionals and in a union to protect themselves, give them an opportunity. And I know that a lot of theater companies are pushing back because it costs them more, but it costs them more, but it also ramps up your talent. It shows that you've got the best.
Well, it's such a good start, and especially the EMC program to get people started in equity and everything. I think it's super great that there are companies and stuff in town that participate in the EMC program. Because this is New Orleans. People go, but they come back and stuff, and saying, that we're sending people into the larger theatrical community, I think is very important. And, that's something that I always kind of worked with my students on, was teaching them about, like, hey, and this is the union, and you need to know about the union and how to navigate that. And it's important for you to work towards your EMC and all that kind of stuff. And I was able to help people do that.
There's so many people, who feel put off by being part of a union. I know that when I was going to school as a high schooler, that a number of the teachers told me they felt somewhat disquieted about being part of a union, that they thought it was, if not beneath them, that it was not necessarily something that they wanted to do because they were professionals. And lawyers didn't necessarily have a union, or doctors. And then, of course, I said, well, what about the Bar Association? What about the AMA? They have it. But again, it's a little different. Those are professional societies. And I can understand where they, they say, well, we don't want to be part of a union because that really is a different kind of attitude. And I understand that. But when it comes to acting, Actors Equity represents 51,000 actors and stage managers, professional people across the country. They have been hurting. None of their people were performing until, maybe more recently. So it was unexpected that this thing happened. And, now we're coming out of it. We're seeing the beginning, of the light at the end of the tunnel, or if not, we're seeing the light pouring through the tunnel. Not everything's completely over. We're still having situations where we have to wear masks in certain areas, but that, the fact of the matter is that we are not where we were back in March of 2020. And we've been able to weather this storm, and pretty soon Broadway opening up back again, and New Orleans will also likewise be opening up, and they are indeed. So you guys, congratulations on starting the new company. And again, best of luck with everything, break legs for what you're going to be doing. Those of you who are interested, it's this Sunday, Gretna Cultural Center, the Open Call Theater opening cabaret.
Yes.
And I noticed how you linked the opening cabaret for the open call. I know you did that.
Oh,
So, you know.
Hey.
Anyway, so thank you for being here as a guest tonight. We want to thank everybody who weathered this storm of this hour. We were on a little early tonight because there are a number of shows that have to be reviewed this weekend, and I have to take care of them. Thank you for being with me, Carol. Stick around for just a little bit. I'm going to tell everybody goodbye. Again, thank you for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is NOLA Theater Talk, part of our outreach with the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group and theatercriticism.com Facebook page. You can also watch this every time on the YouTube channel that we have. My name is Alan Smason. Thank you for being here, and I will see you at the theater.